I hadn't seen a Black female healthcare provider. So I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I have a serious health condition. So I'm glad that I'm still able to use all of the knowledge gained over the years. Dentists can be micromanagers, is that it frees your time up for the most important thing in your life, which for me is my family, my communities. I'm single now and I have a policy that I'm not dating anyone that has been divorced at least a year, preferably two.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Ward Powell. And if you're a dentist looking to crack the code on how to grow your practice and dominate in this space, then stick around. You're in the right place. Every week, we're sitting down with some amazing dentists who are doing incredible things in their businesses. We're talking about everything from how they keep their teams loyal and dedicated to how they stay ahead of the game in this crazy, fast-changing industry. You'll hear about hacks like using virtual assistants to free up your time, strategies to make more sales with less effort, and even mind-blowing stories about patents and inventions that are changing the industry as we know it. And it's not just about growing your practice, it's also about finding out what works from a clinical perspective. Whether you're just starting or you're ready to scale to the next level, there's something here for you. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in. I would like to introduce to the Wealthy Dentist podcast family an extraordinary individual. Dr. Monica Anderson is going to give us a lot of great information. I'm going to stop right here and just say hello and thank you so much, Dr. Anderson, for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Ward. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for all you do for me and my colleagues in this industry.
Yeah, my pleasure. And just for starters, can you tell us how you began or what triggered you into the field of dentistry?
I decided to become a dentist, Ward, in the 10th grade. I was 14 years old, and I've always been very achievement, career oriented. So I felt like I needed to decide on a career then. I didn't want to go to college general studies because I didn't have time to waste. I wanted to I wanted to choose a course. In retrospect, honestly, I didn't know about a lot of professions that now I look at and think, oh, that would have been interesting. Forestry, marketing, computers were just really kicking off. So there are a lot of things. I might do something different now, but I've been very happy with that. It is a wonderful combination of artistry and science. And as you know, I'm a writer. I have 8 published books in fiction and nonfiction, and I really enjoy using that creative side of my brain, but I'm a biology major. I really love science, and there are not a lot of professions allow you to combine those two interests in the way that dentistry does. So we had a dentist come into our community, a Black female. I hadn't seen a Black female healthcare provider. So I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Great role model for me, and that very much influenced me to pursue that path over others I was considering. And it's 33 years later, here I am.
Yeah, you still own your practice, but that's not what you're doing now. You're doing so much, and I don't even know what to start next. You know that was that story right there. 10 years old, and you knew what you were going to do. I mean, going into many years later and said, "I'm going to do this," and I've done it, and I've been doing it for 30 years, 30 plus years. Oh my God, that's a visionary. So when you decided to, I mean, you didn't close your office, obviously. That's still, I guess, you still own that, but
No, no, I'm not in clinical practice.
so you're not practicing, but you still
I'm
own.
in I'm in benefits administration. I won't say my company's name, but I work for a global company as a senior dental consultant. So I review claims and authorizations, peer-to-peer calls, state fair hearings. So it's nice that I get to use my knowledge. I've worked in a lot of different practice settings and leadership roles, from my own private practice for many, many years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to site-based care for people who had have limited access to care in Central Texas for a foundation there, to leading teams at various companies that do what I'm doing now. So I bring a lot, I think I bring a lot to the table wherever I am. And I'm just glad that I share with you, I have a serious health condition. So I'm glad that I'm still able to use all of the knowledge gained over the years, keep up my 4 licenses, but also I feel like I'm still helping people, and that's my driving force, is to help people.
That's awesome. So you went from dentistry into benefits for a major company that needs your services as your dental background. You have several business. You have, for instance, the publishing company and showing
Hmm.
people how to actually publish their own books.
Hmm.
But then Mediterranean restaurant. I mean, to name just another of one of your businesses that you run. I mean, how do you balance all of that?
We find times for the things that are priorities to us. We all have the same 24 hours, and you get to choose what you want to do with them. My number one thing is that I have teams of people, whether it's my podcast and audio engineer and the people producing the marketing materials in investing. I've got real estate investments, investments in some other businesses as a partner. And with that, I've got a financial team. I think too many times I mean, as dentists, we're kind of trained to operate solo. The buck stops with us. We have to make all the decisions, but we don't know everything.
That's right.
I don't know finances like my CPA. I don't know the legal system like my attorney, and I cannot keep up with all the changes in those industries. So it was a big lesson for me to understand. Until I start working with other people, I'm limited to the amount of time I can go without sleep. That was the limit to my achievement. But once I started, working with others, learning from others, having mentoring and coaching, even though I'm a mentor and coach, again, I don't know everything. I can still learn and grow. So that's how I do it. I balance my time. My priority now is and always has been, but my priority as far as my time allotment is my family, my grandkids. And so the other thing about delegating, for those of you who don't, because dentists can be micromanagers, is that it frees your time up for the most important thing in your life, which for me is my family, my community, serving my community. So yes, I do a lot of things. I try to be responsive. I try to be, professional, but I do have limits on how much of myself I'm willing to give, and I know how to say no with a quickness, and it's no is a complete sentence in every language in the world.
Yeah, here. So what is the day like in Dr. Monica Anderson's shoes? How soon does your day start? And when
My
does
day
it
starts at during the week. My day starts at 5:30 from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I work as a dental consultant, as I said, and that is a lot of looking at X-rays and narratives and treatment plans, and seeing some really excellent dentists and seeing some things that are just appalling.
Mm.
It's a small percentage of us who are not doing the great work we were trained to do, and that's where managed care comes in. People hate it, but if they could see some of the things I see from, again, a small percentage of dentists, they would understand why it is now necessary for
Mhm.
someone to be a buffer between the patient and the provider. So that's Monday through Thursday. I'm doing that in the evenings. I'm doing speaker coaching with clients 2 evenings a week. I do that. And I also I mentor. I have some people that I mentor, but that's real easy and flexible and varies a bit. And then on Fridays, before I met with you here for this interview, I had 2 pre-calls and actually did a podcast interview for my podcast, Perpetual Motion, with Dr. Mo Anderson. And then I have interviews like we're doing here. So I really like variety, as most dentists do. That all that cheer hopping and the hygienist is calling for you and the front desk needs this. We get accustomed to that and rather enjoy the variety. So that's part of probably what drives me from project to project. But what weaves them together is that I feel like I am helping people, empowering people, employing people in every way that I can. I'm trying to uplift the community so we all rise together. So I
Mm,
don't have a typical day to answer your question.
right.
It just depends, but it is a very scheduled day, and it's there's nothing random about my days. I leave white space for spontaneity, but I cannot get as much done as I do if I just leave things to chance.
Yeah, understood. Understood. Yeah, you got to have that hammer hitting the top of that nail at any point and constantly sharpen your saw in the process. So yeah,
Yeah.
having that layout of what you want to do during the day, maybe for the whole week, it's important. I understand. I understand. I like spontaneity too, but like you said, to get things done, you got to have some kind of layout as to how you're going to do your day or week.
Right.
So your books, when your focus on your pieces that you write. I know some are non-fiction and some are fiction.
Mhm.
What is your main focus? Is there any particular interest there? There's a narrow kind of focus on.
Not with my writing, no. I What I love about fiction is that it's the only place in my life where I can totally make things up. When you do that as a dentist, you lose your license.
Right? Yeah, you do.
There are so many rules and regulations and procedures for most of the things that I do. You have to walk a straight and narrow line. So, what I so love about fiction is that I sit down, I've got a blank monitor, a Word document, and, even with science fiction, you can make up whole new worlds. I don't do science fiction. I do contemporary romance, contemporary books, and it's people are always surprised. They're like, "You're a dentist? You like romance novel?" But I've actually had two national best-selling romance novels, and I've written a book, as you alluded to earlier, to help people with their self-publishing journey, and that was another way I was trying to save time more because so many people would come to me, "Can you help me publish a book? Can you help me publish a book?" Well, again, I can't have. I'll take you to lunch. Okay, I'm not hungry. One, and two, I cannot meet with every single person who reaches out to me. I would love to, but I can't. I don't have the capacity. So I realized I was being asked the same questions over and over, and I collaborated with my frat brother, Dr. Masudi Stollard, who's also an author, multi-published, and we just put it together step by step. And I can say proudly that I've had a number of people tell me that they published their book by following the steps in our book. And then my best-selling nonprofit nonfiction book is Success is a Side Effect: Leadership, Relationships, and Selective Amnesia, and
Mm,
it's professional growth and professional development. So again, the theme is broad, but it's true to me is that I'm trying to help people. Even in my fiction book, there are lessons there on relationships, on communication, on growth, on forgiveness, which is a theme in a lot of my books. We can't forgive others because we can't forgive ourselves.
yeah, that kind of rings a bell of something I heard you. Oh, something I actually read. You say keep your heart open or something like that.
Never close your heart.
Never close your heart. Yeah,
That was
that's
my
it.
last novel. Yeah, it's right over my shoulder here. Never
Oh, is
close
it?
your
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Never
It's
close your heart. What I
The
mean,
tagline is unless it's under reconstruction, never close your heart.
unless it's under reconstruction.
After, I don't know if you've been through a bad breakup or a divorce, but you are a shattered person, and hurt people. So I believe you need to pause and take time for reflection, for reconstruction, and spend time on not what they did, but what can I do? What did I learn? How can I do things differently so that the next relationship goes better?
Hey, couldn't say that any better myself. I totally understand, totally agree. Been there and and partly done that. What can
Yeah.
I say?
Yeah, I have too. I mean, I'm single now and I have a policy that I'm not dating anyone that has been divorced at least a year, preferably two,
Out.
because they don't know how broken they are. That's the problem. It's not intentional. It's just like, oh, on to the next one, I'm free. Woo. No, you were broken as hell and you're out here, what God has put together, you have to tear it apart. So there's two gaping wounds when you're torn apart. You take a little bit of each other and you're bleeding all over other people and you don't even know it because of the shock of what has happened to you, the trauma.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, that is so true. That is definitely on point. Yeah, well, oh, my goodness.
Said, my goodness. I'm sorry. I can go deep now. I'm trying to
Like
keep
you
it
said,
light, but I have some deep thoughts.
yeah, yeah, I hear them. I hear them. That's great. I mean, like you said, people need guidance. And if you have done something that some people have experienced, a lot of people experience, I mean, like with the
Right.
divorce rate in and of itself is like over 50%,
It
and
is.
great
It's
divorce is like
62%.
62%. And so, and
Yeah.
then and then great divorce, I don't know, maybe higher than that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I mean, to write about that topic or that subject, people they need guidance. People need
Mhm.
guidance. I don't even want to start talking about my experiences, but I can definitely, that resonates with me. I can just say it like that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information. So now, dentistry, you do have a restaurant, right?
Not anymore, but I was a partner in a Mediterranean restaurant in downtown Fort Worth,
Yeah.
and we did it. The timing was bad. The concept was good, but it was right before that 2000 recession, not 2008. Something else happened there, but and you know what happened then. It was just a bad time to be launching a business. We had a great general manager, food. It was in a beautiful high rise in downtown Fort Worth, but it just couldn't take off because people were cutting back on their discretionary spending like they're doing now. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I don't care what they say, all the key economic indicators say that we are in a recession right now. So it's people are going to start pulling back even on dental services. Some people consider I don't consider that a luxury or something discretionary, but I have benefits. If I didn't have dental insurance and I have to choose between feeding my kids, putting gas in the car so I can get to work, and going to the dentist, I might make a different decision. But we have to look at all those factors. So that's what happened now. Right now, I'm heavily invested in real estate, single family homes. Some I own solo and some with partners, and probably been doing that 20 years or so. Really enjoyed that, enjoyed providing affordable housing for people. And it's a lot of work because
Yeah.
folks had it, they want this fixed and that
Right.
fixed, and especially if they're coming from apartments and don't really understand the maintenance required to keep up a household. But it's a nice journey. Good communication makes the difference, setting expectations, and again, boundaries.
So I would assume that you probably have quite a few people that do a lot of the kind of work that's needed in order to keep this thing going, and it's maybe semi what they say passive income for you.
Yeah, yeah, I've got property managers in the it's other cities, most of them. I've got property managers who take care of things for me, but again, they're going to run everything by you because at the end of the day, it's your investment. And so it took a while to get the right folks, but they're really good. And because they do such a good job of screening,
Hmm.
it helps a lot in terms of not having some of the issues other landlords have.
Mm.
And yeah, again, a team though, team approach. I've
Mm.
got a different attorney for that than I do for other things. So that's the other thing I learned is just because someone's an attorney doesn't mean that they specialize in what you're doing. If you're a small business, you need a small business attorney. If you're in real estate, you need someone who's familiar with real estate. If, dentistry, there are attorneys who specialize in helping healthcare professionals and accountants as well. And when you call them, you're going to get not only their advice from books and studies, but their experience of working with other clients, which is what I really like when they say, well, my client, they don't, tell their names, but I have other clients who do this, this, and that, or they'll connect me with somebody. That networking,
Mhm.
to tap into someone else's network is a beautiful thing, but you can't do that if you're out there solo coyote. I don't need nobody and trying to
Right.
Google and chat GPT
Right.
every answer. There are limits to that.
Yeah, yeah, there is. Yeah. So now, man, do you have, I mean, like your team, I mean, in all the things you do, I'm even scared to ask you, how many are there? How many team members do you have to keep all of the things you going moving? Because I'm sure there's a lot.
It's a hell of a question. I've never been asked that. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. That's a really good question. I'm going to sit down and look at that tonight, especially to be asked on the spot. I couldn't say, but I will be clear that they are not full-time employees of mine.
Right.
I do have an assistant that's, you know, full-time, but the other people, of course, they have their businesses and a lot of my marketing, editing, engineering people, I don't do enough to be anybody's full client
Yeah,
in
yeah,
one area.
yeah,
So, man, Fiverr, Upworks, you can find some of the most talented, incredible people. The book cover, which I think is beautiful,
yeah.
of
Nice.
Never Close Your Heart, that was on Upworks, and
Uh,
it was so cool because I had three final contenders that had submitted really beautiful covers, and I put them on Facebook and did a poll and asked
oh,
people to vote. And they
oh,
were so invested. I asked them to make suggestions for changes and to vote. That's not even the one I would have picked, but that's what, you have to go with what other people want. We don't always see things
delegate.
the way they do, but that was the overwhelming pick. And
Yeah,
then I asked them to help me refine that, and they had wonderful ideas.
yeah.
And the great thing was we're building engagement. So by the time I was ready to release the book, they were all on board. They couldn't wait because they felt ownership in the process.
That
And
is
I've seen
awesome.
several other
That
several
is
authors in my
cool.
network do that now, but I hadn't seen anyone do that before. I was just like, okay, these three I can't decide. Let's go out and get the common wisdom. I've got a community. Let's ask for their help.
That is really, oh man, that's genius because I mean, in so many ways, first and foremost, I mean, it's a real project.
Hmm.
You genuinely trying to get this information from people that you're connected with. But then other people are seeing this, so that's a marketing deal. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is right. I mean, this is like no wonder things are just going so quickly, so fast with this book selling and things like that. You're doing a real good job with just the marketing piece. And then
Yeah.
that might not have been, I don't know if it was intentional, but
Absolutely.
all right, okay. So there you go.
Absolutely. And the algorithm, as people commented and more commented, the algorithm for Facebook, I think I put it on Instagram as well, put it into more people's feeds because that's what they want is engagement and comments. And it was, yeah, there were hundreds of comments and votes. And, when I was getting down to the finals, they're like, what did you decide? Did you pick mine? Now that's the level of ownership. Did you pick my cover?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was very, very thankful that that idea
Yeah.
came to me, and I'm, happy to see other people utilizing it as a way to help them. I think we can be a little too proprietary about our
Right.
ideas
Yes.
and what we put out there. That's not gonna There are millions of books published a year. It's not gonna hurt me if somebody else uses that idea. I see ideas on other people's websites and stuff that I'm like, "Oh, that's great. I like the way they did that. They
Right.
included that." It's
Right.
okay. It's okay.
Wow, that's an excellent idea. I'm gonna have to, you know, put that
Do
down in
it.
my notes.
Do it.
Ching Ching is definitely there. Oh my goodness. So I am so happy that we got this opportunity to talk. I mean, there's just so many things that are just going on in my head. You have so many things that you've done. So let's talk about your podcast for a second.
Sure.
All right. So now, your podcast, and I mean, the people that you have, like what to do you do your own editing and all of that?
I do not anymore, but I did for years. I've been podcasting 11 years now.
Yeah.
So I started out just doing audio on a handheld recording device and then uploading it on my PC before, because this was before all these platforms. Now that podcast is so popular, and I went from that to using Zoom, and now I use another platform that allows, a lot of editing very quickly initially, but for the audio engineering and other things, I send it off to members of my team and
Yeah.
they take care of it.
Is that Riverside that you use or not?
I use Riverside FM now and really like them. I looked at some of the others, but they have some really nice tools, but particularly the audio to be able to get separate tracks for each person speaking. My audio folks really like that, so they can do some little different things than I was able to do. All I could do was normalize the levels, remove some background noise, and I was done with that. But inserting the music and the intro, the outro, all of that, and I can go on and be working on something else. I want to be an idea person. I want to be creating things. I don't want to be sitting up for hours doing something that a professional could do in 20, 30
Minutes.
minutes, 1 hour.
Yeah, right. I understand totally. So yeah, I mean, your creative piece is like you're just, I mean, the only time well, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you're using a lot of analytical in your benefits program that you're with. I mean, the HR program that you work with or company,
Mhm.
or that section, that department. But where, I mean, like your analytical, I mean, like analyticals everywhere, but it seems like you're just doing a whole lot of creative stuff too. I mean, more so than the analytical.
A- Outside of work, I tend to have just a little more freedom to try new things and to go in different directions. As I said earlier, in dentistry, there are very specific guidelines we have to follow. And when you're at a corporation, even more so, because you
Mm-hmm.
got the external factors and then the internal processes. And I'm good with that. That leads to a consistent inter-rate reliability product. But outside of that, I like the freedom to move, break things, try stuff, push the boundaries, try new things. And, my podcast, Perpetual Motion with Dr. Mo Anderson, like you, I interview global thought leaders
Mm-hmm.
focusing on wellness, relationships, communication, and career progression, which are all very much related, whether you're talking about Maslow's theory or any other branch of psychology. If you don't have your personal life together, I will follow you to work where there will be chaos as well. And people try to separate the two, but you bring work home, whether you talk about it or not. You bring it home and you take that argument in your household to work, whether you mention it or not. It comes out in your energy, in your creativity, in your tone. And so we need to start with working on ourselves, and that can lead to changing our mindset and changing the way we react, and we get better outcomes with our lives. We're always talking about outcomes, but what about outcomes for yourself? Are you really getting the outcomes you desire, or are you just checking boxes? And you'll know that because you just feel dead inside.
So what connects you? Like I mean, like you seem to be really, really ground in your spiritness, if you will. What really grounds you? What is it that's grounding you, and it's bringing all of this wisdom out that I'm hearing?
Well, one, I'm old. I'm just old, so I just been through a lot of stuff. There's that.
You're funny.
And I liken it to going through the grocery store of life and picking out items. There's some things you don't need three for one. A raggedy man, you don't need three for one. You need to put some stuff back before you get to checkout. So checkout is the day the Lord calls me home, and I'm hoping I only have things that are worthy and of value and that will lead to good and faithful servant. Well done. But that's why I said Chat GPT doesn't cover everything, because there's some wisdom that Mama them got just from living, whether they went to anyone's school or had letters behind their names or whatever. There are some things they can tell you about people and human nature that no artificial intelligence can provide.
I love that. That is so true. That is so true. When we understand the extract, be able to extract ourselves from that, and just keep that kind of thought going, we're gonna grow our wisdom.
Right.
But if not, we're
Right.
gonna wind up being like, mechanics, or
And let me say
Go back.
part two of that. My apologies. So you heard there that you know my age and more so my faith in God, but also as you know, I have a rare form of cancer, and I was diagnosed 12 years ago and given a 5 year life expectancy because it had metastasized throughout my abdomen. I had a huge surgery that year. They thought they got all of the main tumor, but 2 years later, I had another surgery where my stomach, my spleen, adrenal gland, part of my intestines were removed. So I literally don't have a stomach ward, and I see my oncologist, one in Miami and one in Dallas. I alternate every 3 months because it's very aggressive. So I take daily oral medication to suppress tumor growth. But when you have that going on in your life, it really helps you hyper focus on what is important and what is not. And so, I mean, I used to just be real volatile, and now it's like I don't anger and too many sweets and not sleeping. It doesn't cause cancer, but it doesn't help your body. So I'm like, I don't have time to be dwelling on that and ruminating. And I don't watch news all day. I'm very
Yeah.
much aware of what is going on in the world, but negativity, toxicity, again, can make me ill.
Yes.
So those are the factors that are driving me. I really want, however much time I have left, I want to use it in a positive, productive way.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. So, do you do any meditation? Are you working out? I mean, what is your active life physically like?
Yeah, good question. Good question. Yes, I do work out. I have a home gym. I have all kind of apps on my phone, Get Fit, a Pilates app, lots of things for mindfulness and meditation. And honestly, part of why I do the podcast and appear on other programs, television, podcasts, interviews, is that that is actually relaxing for me. I enjoy this. I love public speaking. When I did my TEDx talk a couple of years ago, I mean that for most people that would be such a terrifying thing. And I won't say I didn't have some nerves, but like that is just the height of public speaking for me to do a TED or TEDx talk. So I was for me it filled me. You know how we talk about filling your cup, that filled my cup. But it's not, public speaking is not for everyone, but I try to do things that fill my cup so I can overflow into others' lives.
Mm. And so, yeah, I caught just a snippet of your TEDx talk. It had a little bit to do with I don't know, people being uh, so conscious of their surroundings, even little children. I immediately know, you know, what's not good for them or what's not, not right, or
Mhm.
um, it had a lot of
Bias.
diet
Yeah.
going on there, and I was like, oh wow, she's every place, man. So that piece was pretty interesting. I didn't
Thank you.
get to hear the whole uh piece, but and like I said, I caught maybe a couple minutes of it, which was
Mhm.
pretty profound. So talk about that for a minute. Your conversation with the audience on that idea.
Sure, sure. I've been a public speaker as long as I've been a dentist. Anything around words, I'm down for it. And for most speakers now, you know, that's the height, is to be selected. You don't just say I want to do one, but it's to be selected to present. I was at TEDx Oshkosh, and the title of my talk is What Dentistry Teaches Us About Curbing Racism.
Hmm.
And that's kind of a little bit of clickbait. It's worked because I have about 300,000 views on that talk right now, but it's really more about unconscious bias broadly, whether it's
Unconscious bias. Oh,
xenophobia,
yes,
homophobia,
yes,
racism.
yeah,
And you're referring to where I talk about how my grandkids, if
right.
people think um, young children aren't able to comprehend bias, and I say they can tell who's at 4, 5, 6 years old who's cheating at the game. You know, if you're playing a board game, who's not taking turns on the swing. They have an inherent sense of right and wrong. So it needs to be age appropriate, but we cannot wait until our children are in the military or in a corporation taking a mandatory training out in the world to start talking about bias. It's too late, then it's already infested them.
Mhm.
And referred to it as contagious social cancer. And
Mhm.
this is coming from someone who actually has cancer. So
Mhm.
I know what that feels like. And I know the impact on us economically, productivity wise, on our esteem of drawing conclusions about people who we don't know and haven't met based on what we've heard family members say or what we saw in a movie. And it is harming us, and we see it more so now than ever. And it is dividing our country. It is stopping us from being the United States of America that we set out to be constitutionally.
Mhm. Yeah, that was that was an interesting topic, and yeah, children are uh, perceptive. You know, I, I just love children. And I think that's, and I'm kind of like going off a little bit, but I would say that's why Michael Jackson liked children because, they were honest, they blatantly honest. And I love babies. Once upon a time I taught,
Oh, yeah?
and the principal asked me, says, so, Ward, what do you want? What grade? I says, I want the babies.
Understood. I
I don't
understand
want
that.
seventh grade. I don't want eighth grade. I want the babies. Okay, so the
You're
Lord
so
me to go
sweet.
with you. Yeah, third grade, and they were something else. I followed them to fifth grade. That was a great experience in my life.
I'm
Just
sure.
dealing with children. Um, but yeah, man, just you just have just a plethora of information that I can just pull an idea out and you have something to say about it. And I know when
I don't know if that's good or bad. That kind of
I
sounds
know
like a
no,
throw
that's
it
good.
all, and
That's good
I
because
do not know it all, but
no, I'm
I understand
sorry.
what you're saying.
I beg to differ because you sitting there writing these books. I really wasn't one for nonfiction, you know. Uh, I'm sorry, for fiction. And then later on in life, I just started reading fiction books. I said, "Wow, I didn't know this. This is fun. They're creative. To
Yeah.
be a fiction writer, you got to be creative.
Hmm.
And me, I always want things like in your face. I want something practical, something I can use. But
Right.
man, like for you to write a few fiction books, it's just that it goes to say, a whole lot of stuff about, your ability to create stuff and make it happen. You have to be creative to make things happen.
You do. And I love what I particularly like about fiction is that I get to do the internal dialogue. And that's what you miss in movies, unless there's a
No doubt.
narrator,
Yeah.
because so often the action doesn't go with the thoughts. And
Yeah.
we know that in real life, sometimes we're just faking it till we make it and we're terrified inside or we're angry and pretending to be happy. But in fiction, I can show you that. We italicize it, or there there are different ways that we indicate that it's an internal thought. But I love that that's where some of the best tension comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that part of it. But it is a labor love. It takes me about a year to write a book. Some people can do it in weeks or a couple of months, but unless you're, a top author, it typically looks like you wrote it in a week or a couple of months. And with all the other things I have going on, it's something I do weekends and as I can. I can't write every day because of my schedule, but when I do, I just really love going into my little solitary world where I can just make things up, like I said.
So what do you like, out of all of the things that you do, what do you find the most joy in your work as you move through your journey? What is a couple things that you like most?
Yeah, the absolute most joy I get is within work because my grandchildren and my children are my family is quite my favorite thing, hands down, nothing close to it. But I've always been a writer. And, no, when I say that I'm very passionate, I love writing. I was born a writer. We all have that thing that we would do even if no one paid us. And that's my thing. And I do get to do some writing within my job as a consultant, but it's, more scientific, technical type of writing. I love just being able to write and write about what I want to write about. Even when I had my column for a major daily newspaper for 8 years, they just kind of gave me leeway. I wrote
Right.
about lifestyle and family, and so that's a lot of fun for me. That's my favorite. But I no longer do things I don't enjoy, not long term. Uh, there may be a course I need to take or a skill I need to learn, but it's to get me to the point of being better at doing the thing that I really like to do. But I'm not around toxic people and I'm not putting unnecessary stress on myself trying to do something that I'm not a good fit for. I think Strength Finders is good because if people haven't taken that test and don't know about it, Google Strength Finders, because before that, we were saying figure out what you're not good at and just make yourself good. I suck at calculus. I'm not going to ever be good at it. I don't like it. I hate it. Why would I torture myself with that when there's a mathematician over here who loves it? I don't know where we got that from. I don't remember who came up with that, but I was so glad we moved beyond it to, get better at what you're good at what you're gifted at what your talents are, not put your talents down and go get better at some crap you're never going to like, because that's
Exactly.
the part you can't force me to do. I just don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
ironing. I don't want to do that for a living,
Right.
ever. No,
Right.
that's not. But there are people who do, and I'm happy because that's a whole industry for us for dry cleaning. I am thankful. It needs to be done, but it's not by me or for me. So that makes the day shorter. It makes the day go by when you're doing things that you enjoy or things that will help you get to the point of
Yes.
enjoyment, like
Yes.
college.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So, wow.
So I like most of what I do. The short answer, let me paraphrase what I just said. I pretty much like my life right now. And
Mhm.
that took some work and some hard work. But
Yeah.
I really do like my life.
Yeah. So, are you originally from Texas?
Yes, sir. The accent didn't give me away.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear it, but I was like, I was trying to make sure.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
okay.
born in Houston and I grew up in Fort Worth. I grew up in the
Okay.
Metroplex and I have lived in many other places, but I moved back here 8 years ago and I'm really glad to be back because most of my family's here. My sons and daughter-in-laws and grandkids are here and friends I grew up with. So I'm back home.
Okay. So if there was one thing that you would change in the business that you do now, I mean, like I know I mean, let's just say dentistry. Let's just keep it with dentistry
Mhm.
because that's, you're still working with that to a degree. What is it, some of the changes that you see down the road that's going to affect dentistry in whatever way that you see?
We've got to work on access to care. In the field that I'm in now, before in private practice, I took commercial insurance, cash, my favorite,
Mm,
cash payments, but now on the benefits administration side and seeing Medicaid and Medicare and people who are disabled, it is increasingly becoming a problem that just like on the medical side, that people do not have access to quality health care, whether it's because they live in a rural area or because of socioeconomics, but that is hurting our entire population. So it's not a problem I can solve. The ADA and other organizations are working on it, but we've got to figure out a way to get healthcare providers to the areas where they're most needed and not just clustered in the metropolitan areas. But we've got to make that right for the provider as well as for the patients. I love the changes in technology. I mean, in dental school, I literally learned how to dip x-rays and the solutions to
Wow.
get them developed. That's how old I am. And now, when I left practice, I had a digital, we were doing radiographs digitally and cone beams and CEREC crowns, so many things to make it faster and easier and less uncomfortable, less frightening for people. So I love seeing that continuation. And I do have to keep up on all procedures, techniques, and materials. And I love seeing such a variety because we've got, a lot of providers. So I'm seeing work from all over the country that I
Yeah.
wouldn't have before, just kind of my peers if someone changed and decided to come to me from someone else and I got their records. So that is really, there's some really amazing things happening in dentistry with materials and techniques, and people are actually wanting to come to us now. Those who do have benefits, they come in, they want whitening, they want veneers. That's a big change from just pull it out, it
Yeah,
hurts,
right.
or you know that attitude. Or all my family wore dentures and lost their teeth, and it's poor hygiene and your diet. You don't have to lose your teeth, just like you don't have to have heart disease, you don't have to have diabetes. You can have a genetic predisposition for it, but come on in and let's do what we need to do, knowing that that's in your family history. Let's do what we need to do. And then I love that we are doing the diagnostic codes now and using a evidence-based, data-driven approach to dentistry as opposed to gut and feelings. And
Yes.
again, that leads to better outcomes, which we
Yes.
can measure.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Anderson, and sharing your words of wisdom, and all of the wonderful things that you're doing out there for people that you care for, and you have seemingly such a wonderful family that you care for so dearly. We appreciate you coming out and spending this time with us.
Well, it's Good Friday, and it's been a good Friday. Thank you for thank you for sharing your platform again. Most interviews it's not as broad as this one, and I may be a little different than your typical guest. I remember when you
Yeah.
invited me, I was like, I'm not in clinical practice. I don't know that I have, I'll be able to speak to your audience, but you've asked great questions and given me a chance to talk about my journey, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
The Wealthy Dentist podcast is built on connections, opportunities, and meaningful conversations that help jumpstart careers and boost the ROI on your business. Is there a topic you're passionate about or someone in the dental community who should share their story with us? We want to hear from you. Email your suggestions to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast at gmail.com, and let's create content that informs, inspires, and uplifts the dental world. Your ideas could spark our next big conversation. Let's make it happen. I'm Ward Powell, your host at the Wealthy Dentist Podcast, thanking you for being a part of our journey.